What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. What we're going to be going through today is how to hire and onboard writers. So I'm quite excited to talk about this topic because it's something that I do on a regular basis and I'm consistently trying to improve. So most recently I've been testing a different method that I don't usually use. So a lot of you who have been watching this channel would know that I usually give out content briefs to writers to write for my blogs, where I would break down all of the different subtopics that they have to cover and then give that to them on a per person basis, on a per job basis. Now, whilst that's a great method and it's very effective in getting back some excellent content, it's not always the most efficient way of working when you're trying to get out a lot of content in a short amount of time. Okay, so one of the ways that I was recently thinking of how I could automate this process a lot more is by having everyone work on one centralized master sheet, I should say. So the way that looks is we have a writer hit list dashboard, and then people can actually go over, click the different jobs that they would like to write on, copy those topics over to the other side in the being written column, and then select their name, date, and get to work. Now, what I've recently added to that writer hit list dashboard is the option for me to select different ways of approving or denying the job and then providing feedback in the following column. So the first thing that we're going to go through is my stage one of onboarding. So that involves creating a job post. Now, when we talk about creating a job post, there's a few things that you need to include inside of it. One of the things is going to be what the heck you're going to be writing about, you know, what they're being hired for, the average amount of word count. So say, for example, you're doing 1,500 words, 2,500 words, 3,000 words plus. What's your kind of average across the post so they can expect to know lengths that they're going to be writing on? You might find that some of the writers are just truly not going to be that interested in writing long form content. So if they're not for that reason, then you want to filter those people out as soon as possible. And that is really the aim of the game when you're doing this, is to filter out as many people that you don't need as quickly as possible so you can get to the ones that are going to be the most beneficial to you. All right, so one of the other things you might want to discuss is talking about your company and giving them an insight to the size of your team maybe, and your general overall mission or goal with the business. Okay, so if you're trying to scale it, then you might want to let them know that. Or if you're trying to broaden out, then you might want to let them know that. Whatever it may be, you just want to give them an insight so people can quickly identify of whether you're the kind of business that they want to work with in the first place. So if we take a look at this sheet, we can straight away see that I've just got like a short process list out just to help me navigate quickly and orderly in the way that I take someone on board. So the first thing is shortlisting, and what I would recommend is if you are going to be hiring people and running a team, then you most definitely want to systematize everything that you're doing. So you want to have everything written out in a step-by-step format so you can rinse and repeat it. What you can do is you can improve on those processes opposed to just freestyling something and you don't really know where you're going wrong or right, and there's no accurate measure of progress. So what you want to do is have everything sectioned and segmented so you know exactly step by step what things need improving, and you can get feedback from writers as well on what you need to improve. So if we take a look at this, this is an actual job post that I've used before previously for multiple sites, and what you want to look at here is the style of writing that I have here and the general things that I'm including for a new person to come on and see. It says looking for passionate, your niche writers to come on and create a well-researched, actionable, helpful content. We're currently looking for passionate, your niche lovers to write for your site here and independently carry out research for each piece of content. Now, the reason why I included the independent research part is purely because of the recent updates with Google, and we're going to really need people to go the extra mile if we're going to be writing around reviews. They're going to be needing to carry out some level of research other than what they usually do of rinsing and repeating what's on the internet. So this needs to be something that's completely original, and it's just giving them a small insight to what to expect. It also gives you a professional angle on your job post as well, which I think is quite attractive to get the right writers, I was going to say, on board. Okay, the right writers. So you'll be required to undertake a 45-minute training course to write and work in a way that we require in order to meet our standards. Now, I might change standards. Standards is a little bit intimidating, but the idea of this is to give them them in insight that I will be running them through some training. So what I do is I create an internal training hub on the site that we're going to be writing for, and give them a step-by-step. Now, again, you can make this a template, and then you can just export that post and upload it elsewhere, or whatever you want to do. Yeah, so you can create an internal training hub on each of your sites. So that's how I'm starting to automate everything, because instead of giving people content briefs, I just give them a 45-minute training, and then from that training, they're able to write in a way that we would like them to, okay? So they're able to pick out subtopics in a way that we would like them to. And the way that we get them doing that, and the way that we kind of vet people on whether they understand that, is by running a short test at the end. So there is a plugin that I'm using for that, which is called like Quiz or something like that. It's a quiz plugin. I'll leave a link to it below. But what that plugin allows me to do is run a questionnaire at the end of them taking the training, and then I'm quickly able to see what people are good and what ones are bad. What this helps me to do is quickly filter out, obviously, people, like a lot of applicants, but these are already shortlisted people that come in here in the first place. Our workflow will require you to work in Google Docs and in WordPress if you are capable of doing so. That said, we're looking for one example of your best piece of content around the niche. Okay, so you want to see a piece of content, but specifically within your industry, because that will help you to really understand the level of where they're at from a bird's eye view. It also shows you of whether they have experience straight away within your industry, because a lot of people are not going to have experience. So you might really want to take the people who only have experience in your industry, especially if it's something that's not quite commonly found on the internet. Then you obviously, really are going to want to specify that. Then we've got an image of you, either fishing with a pet, whatever it may be. So specifically for the dog site that I share on this YouTube channel, I always make sure that people own what they're talking about. Or even for my motorbike site, I make sure that they own a bike. Like, I honestly just want people who own this stuff, who are really passionate about it. Now, some people with those kind of things don't need to own it. They can just research it. When you're talking about something like a motorbike, a lot of people just know what they are. It's like cars, yeah? But not a lot of people know how to fix them. So that's a specialized skill. So if you were talking about advice on repairs, then you would want a specialist, like someone who knows mechanics, yeah? Like, I've got a mechanical background, so I would want someone very similar to that. Okay, so then I go on to talk about, I'm running a few other sites. So if obviously they are good, then I might use them on those sites as well. I don't usually cross people over. I did used to do that when I first started, but it's not something that I do now. But if you do find someone that's really like high level writer, which you sometimes come across every so often, then you might want to consider or test them out on your other sites and see how they perform. I said we keep things stress-free but work like machines, so things get a little tough at times, but that's what comes with big rewards in the process. Okay, so I always remember this from working at a place called Ford. Well, many of you will know where Ford is. Ford Motor Car. I used to work for them, and they used to describe their business as the sitting duck concept. And what that means is when you see a duck on water, they appear to be like not doing anything, just sitting there and relaxing. But underneath, their legs are moving at a rapid rate. And that's exactly how they like to describe their business. So they say on the forefront, we appear calm and relaxed. And that's the way we like our environment, but we like to be efficient. However, in the background, we're going 100 miles an hour. And that's the style that I like to take when I'm approaching my own business. Okay, so then we go through a few of the general requirements. So native English, training, structure and formatting, open to feedback, plagiarism, going through those different things, and then payment. Personally, I wouldn't always put payment there because you might scare off some of the best writers that you could have had at a good rate if you could have negotiated later. So say, for example, you say I'm paying 2 cents a word or $2 per 100 words or whatever it may be. That might scare off someone that's charging 7 cents and they might have considered like 2.5, or 3 cents. In that circumstance, I'd most definitely recommend that you test without putting the price up first, and then after, if that doesn't work, then you take a step back and obviously try it a different way and go to plan B. All right, so at the end of this form, we then go on to submit your application via a Google form, and I'll go through exactly what's included in the Google form. Before we get into the Google form, what I wanted to talk about quickly is the different places of where you might put this advertisement. Okay, so the two main places that you're going to do this kind of thing is purely going to be on platforms where you're going to be working with people over a long period of time. So ideally, I would recommend that you go to Upwork, which is an easy easy place to go and hire people, and it also has a great system of allowing you to shortlist people very quickly. The second platform is going to be ProBlogger. Now, the reason why I would say ProBlogger is because it allows you to blast out your advertisement to a ton of people, which then obviously exposes you to a wider range of people, whereby you can then shortlist a bunch of people using the Google Forms. Now, the reason why you want to use a Google Form is because it exports everything into a spreadsheet. So you can set up filters by filtering by people who are answering the questions that you've put out correctly, or within your budget, or have experience within the niche. These are all the different things that you can filter by. So if you are just allowing people to just message you, you're not going to be able to have a data-driven approach, and it's not going to be systematic. So that's one of the things that I've really been learning recently, is that using data can be quite beneficial to you making decisions, and it allows you to have a process in place that's rinse and repeatable. Okay, so if we take a look at this, these are the information parts that I would include inside of a Google Doc. Okay, so we've got their full name, email address, how many years of experience they have as a writer, what their English level is on a scale of 1 to 10. The easy answer for this is that the way you can quickly filter people out is only take the highest number of results in regards to the English speaking. So if a lot of people are like giving you 7s and 6s and all of that kind of stuff, that straight away gets rid of all the fluff that you don't need. However, if you are obviously recruiting for a different language and your blog is in a different language, you might want to use obviously that and filter out all the people who are not speaking that at a 9 or 10. Yeah. Okay. Do you have any experience with the insert niche here? Okay. So that's one thing that we're specifically looking for. If so, what do you rate your insert niche here knowledge on a scale of 1 to 10? So again, you want to take the highest count of people. The people who are giving you the absolute best results are probably going to be the ones who are most confident in their experience and skill set, and going to give you the best run for your money. Would you rather have something be in on time and 90% complete, or would you rather have something be late and 100% complete? So this is quite an interesting question that allows you to filter out quite a lot of people. Straight away, you don't want anyone who's going to submit something that's half done in order to get it in on time. So a lot of people, even some of them, might get back to you and say, I'm not one to try and submit work late. However, if I had to, then I would rather do so than submit something that was unfinished. Yeah, so that is the kind of person that you really want. They're always going to put quality over quantity or time and things like that. What's your desired rate per 1,000 words? So I've put in notes for me, or you if you're watching this video. 3 cents is probably the average. And do you have a capacity of bulk orders? So what this allows you to do is quickly understand how much work this person is prepared to take on. Some people have kids, some people have a full-time job, all these different things. So it's going to quickly help you to identify all those different people on exactly how much hours or time they can commit to helping you out with your business. And then what do you not like about writing? So that's optional, but that helps you to pick up on a few people who might have like a few things that you might not really want around your business, or things that you might think is quite interesting and you haven't put into a question. Okay, so that just is a little bit ambiguous. Or you could say, what do you most like about writing? Or why do you most want this job? You know, just something quite vague, because it allows them to speak. Okay, so you've given them all these yes or no answers and specific data numbers, but now you're just saying, you know what, give me an answer of what you think. So once you've done your Google Sheet, you're going to notice that you could have gone from like 300 people, 100 people, down to like 20 or 30, depending on how tight you've set your ranges on those filters. And this is going to quickly help you to identify the top people for the job straight away, like immediately. Yeah, this is gold dust what I'm sharing right here. So that's one of the ways that I quickly find the right people, is just by setting those filters, and you're able to see like the ones that are probably going to be the better writers out of the bunch of applications that you get. Okay, so the next step we've got here is stage 2. So after you've shortlisted, it's time for stage 2 to collect further information and just tease out anything that you never got throughout the first part of the application process. A few things that you might want to do here is negotiate any kind of rates. You might find out like maximum capacity, whether they have experience, or their general outlook on the niche, you know, and whether they do it on a regular basis, or if they have any questions for you. So these are the types of things that you might want to tease out in this stage. Next, we've got checking over their work provided. Okay, so they're going to submit some work to you. but it's going to be hard for you to quickly identify what's good about it and what isn't. So for that reason, I would say use the content proofreading template that I've shared in a previous video. I'll try and find it and leave a link below this video for that. Or you can just use this list here that I've got. So you can't really go too specific when you're looking at someone else's work because it hasn't been written in the way that you have instructed them to do so. So if you try and apply a template to it, you're going to find a lot of stuff that doesn't line up with what your methods are because they just wrote it in a different way, in different style for what they're doing. Okay, so a few generic things that we can look over to qualify a piece of content is by checking that the grammar's good. That's something you really want. Like if the person's not even speaking English well and you're trying to recruit someone to come on to write in English, then you probably want to tease that out. Are there typos, grammar mistakes, or formatting issues? You can throw it into Grammarly to check this as well. Did they take forever to get to the point in the introduction? So that's something you could look at, because if someone's like got a bunch of fluff and they're not really just getting to the point in the content, or it's not actionable, then that's something that would straight away stand out to you. And one of the things that I genuinely look out for is I try to find like niche specific context or terms used within their writing. So if they're talking about dogs or pets, then I want to see that they're using words like kibble, Fido, pup, or just anything that's related that you wouldn't usually find, or something that's even a little bit more technical that's related to the industry. So if someone's talking about phones, are they talking about like motherboards? Are they talking about memory cards? Are they talking about gigabytes, capacity, data, all these different things, milliamps? You know, all these different types of things are going to be very specific to someone who knows what they're talking about. Then we want to know if they over or undersold any products. So if they have like a specific product review, you want to be checking like, okay, did they really overemphasize on this product sell, or how did they even lead up to it? What's their experience on, you know, their formatting or walking someone through a sales process? Because that could also help you to tease out a few good copywriters that you can use for some high level content throughout your blog as well. Okay, so the next thing you want to do is respond to anyone that gave you a good sample piece. Okay, and if you do have some level of decency, you would also respond to the people who wasn't successful with a broadcast, just letting them know that they were unsuccessful, and you may contact them in the future, or however you want to word that. If you aren't going to contact them, then don't say it maybe. Anyway, we move. Next, you want to send an email out to the people who were successful and just tell them that you're moving them on to the next process. Congratulations on being shortlisted, and their sample piece of work was great, whatever it may be. So this just gets people a bit more excited and enticed to see what else the next stages entail. You want to give them a brief that you're going to be taking them through the training next, and then you'll get them to submit a sample piece of work. So that's what I do. Now, I'm not going to get into the training hub, but what we're going to do is your training hub is going to go over all of the different things that someone needs to do in order to be a good writer for your team. So what you're going to do is you're going to walk them through why they're writing for your blog, like what this is all about, what your goal is. Are you trying to rank it as an affiliate site? Are you trying to write it as an informational resource? Whatever it may be, we want to take them through basic heading SEO. So like how to format their headings. Ideally, I train them to do it in a Google Doc, and what that allows me to do is explain how to do heading structures, so how to do under a H2, H3, whatever. Even if you don't want to record this stuff yourself, just go and get a YouTube video that's good on this topic and just insert it into that section. You don't want to index this training hub because it's just something you're doing for your writers. It's not specifically something you're trying to rank and make money with. You also want to take them through how to use your writer hit list dashboard. So if you create this spreadsheet, then you want to teach them how to do that. I'll share my one below this video so you can download it and use it for yourself, but you ideally want to share that with them. So you want to run them through like exactly how to use this thing. Now, a few things that you're going to be looking out for when someone submits their sample piece of work after going through the training is how long they took to submit the work, how good the work was, did they follow your guidelines, and all of the other things that you instructed them to do. Okay, so that's down to you and what you instruct them to do and the style of writing that you do, but you want to check and make sure that they aligned with those specifications. One of the other things that I also do is give them a little bit of feedback and criticism to see how they respond. So some people will get a bit arsy about if you give them feedback or criticism, whereas other people are prepared to take it on board. And one of the other things that you want to check is how well they can implement the changes that you gave them. So if someone has taken a bit of criticism, do they then make the changes that you're actually giving them? A few times you might get a few people who are just like bang on the money with exactly the submission, and you might not want to rattle those people too much. So, but do be careful to make sure you give them feedback in future on jobs, because the last thing you want is people just coming through thinking they could submit almost anything in the world, and they'll just end up getting lazy if you're not really on their tail. So it's your business and you're the one who's driving it forward. And right before we actually do get to that stage, you might want to give them a questionnaire. So one of the things that I've got inside of my training hub is a questionnaire, and it just goes through a few questions about what they have just learned. One of the other things you can do is insert a few secret words or something like that. So you might put in a few secret words related to the niche or whatever, could be random, and you just want to know that they got those, and you might ask that in the questionnaire at the end. After they've given their work, the next thing, as you can see here, is that we want to provide them some level of feedback. Now, I personally recommend doing this by video using a screen share, because it's going to help people to really take on board how on the ball you are. It looks more professional, and also it builds a little bit more rapport with that writer, so they'll start to get a touch of who you are. I personally would show your face as well, but if you don't want to show your face, that's totally fine. I just show my face because I've got a YouTube channel anyway, so I don't need to hide about anything. Give them a little bit of criticism, a little bit of feedback, or a little bit of pointers, or a little bit of things that I appreciated that they done well. You know, you just want to incorporate all of those different things so they can see that you're not someone on any extreme side of the scale. You're just well balanced, and you're prepared to give them constructive criticism if they need it to bring their work up to scratch or to the style that you're looking for. Okay, so that's the first stage. Once you've done that, you're now going to move on to stage 2, which is quite long. But we're going to go through this. So this is like my editor's guidelines, and what I'm going to be looking at inside of this is looking over the content that was provided to them with the brief. So this is basically going over, like, you know, was the target word count achieved? Was it formatted and enjoyable to read? Was it actionable? Did they do no more than 4-line sentences? Because these are all the things that I give them inside of the training of what to do. And I also provide them a template of the training to download. So you want to do like a 1-page template. I actually got someone on Fiverr to make it look nice, like the brand with the colors and design and whatever else. But you just want to make something that's downloadable so they can download it and just have it smack bang, like, okay, this is what I'm writing to, like a content recipe. Now, after they've done that, we move on to the next stage, which is getting all the legal stuff signed. So if obviously you've got someone that you're working independently with, you want to make sure that the content they write for you is yours to own and use as you want. So you can easily get someone on Fiverr to do that for you, and they'll just draft one up for about $10, and you'll be able to go and put that out to whoever you work with. The other thing you want to do is just establish any kind of tax forms that you might need to fill out in order to disclose anyone that you're independently working with based on your regulations in your country. So the way this works is, this is the sheet that I have now. So this is very basic. You can see like there's writers and whatever else. Yeah. So we've got how to fix undercooked brownies. I'm just using this as an example. They would take that job, remove it from here. Let's not show that again. Okay, so they would remove that from here. They'd copy it into this. So they'd remove, like, obviously the word count and all of that stuff. And then they would select their name from the drop down. So the way you select and add them in is you just right click, and then you go to data validation, and you'll be able to add in example 3 or whatever. That's a £, great. And then now you can see that person's there, so on and so forth. Okay. One of the other things that I've provided is that they can select whether it's completed or not. So if you're constantly checking this, then down the road you'll be able to obviously see, well, this person just completed a job, they haven't yet contacted me or whatever, but you know, you can just see it. Once they've completed it, they might come in and do that. Some are going to use it, some aren't. It's not really that efficient. What I wanted to do was set this up with some kind of trigger that it emails and gives you a message when this is done. But all these things are going to be quite expensive for the sheet, but over time I am going to improve this sheet quite a bit. I've got someone working on it at the moment to improve the processes within it. But it's very simple, and what it does is it allows multiple writers to all access it at once. The only problem is you might get people doing duplicates or messing up, and that can happen. It's happened to me, but I've set up like a filter where if someone does a duplicate, it does do that, and then there's a warning message that actually comes up to say that they're breaching like the rules of the sheet. And that is really about it, to be honest with you. Once you've done all of those steps, you're usually going to have someone on onboard writing for you in the most efficient way that I know possible as it currently stands. Okay, and you just want to make sure that you're using what I have here, but then you improve upon it yourself. So you want to improve those processes and also put your little touch on it, like your extra touch of what works for you in your business. I don't personally know what niche you're in or what type of blog you run, but you want to adapt it to work for that. This is a general template though that will work pretty well, and what I might do in future is release the training hub and all of that as like a package or something where you can buy it for like $30 or something like that. I don't know, let me know if that's something you'd be interested in, because I'll release that down the road. It's a lot more information than what you'd find in some people's full-on training courses, so for that reason obviously it will be paid. But yeah, I mean, if you enjoyed the video and you like it, then make sure to smash the like button. If you do have any questions regarding this or the processes inside of it, then leave your questions or comments below and I'll be sure to get back to you. Check out the downloadables below the video because there's quite a lot of resource there out of this whole thing and that you can piece together. So good luck with hiring writers and training them and getting great people on your team. And thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.